Well, hi, everybody. We are here with the brand new head basketball coach at the University of Southern Mississippi, Doc Sadler. And Doc, great to have you in Hattiesburg. Congratulations on becoming the new head coach. Talk about what excites you about getting this job at Southern Miss.
Well, John, there's so many things, but obviously the tradition that has been here for a long time, starting even as far back as Coach Floyd, and then going through Coach Turk, and then just recently with with Coach Stacy and Donnie Tyndall, 3 straight years of being in the postseason play, with one of those being in the NCAA. And as a basketball coach, you always want to be in a position that you're at an institution that's going to give you an opportunity to play in the NCAA tournament.
You had played against Southern Miss a couple of times when you were the coach at UTEP. Did you know a lot about Southern Miss over the years as you were coming up through the coaching ranks?
Well, I did. Again, I grew up in Arkansas, and we actually played Southern Miss when I was in college, and back when Coach Turk just got it going, and some good games. So I actually followed Southern Miss somewhat, not a whole lot, but then obviously when I got in the league with them, it became something that you kept up with pretty close.
I told him I was going to ask you this, Doc Sadler.
Doc Sadler.
That's a nickname. I'm assuming. Where did that come from?
Oh my goodness, here we go. Everybody wants to know where Doc came from, but bottom line, John, is when I was a young kid, I attended a rodeo, and the young people won't know who this is, but Doc on Gunsmoke was at the rodeo and signed a hat, and I always wore that hat. So the high school coach that my dad worked for gave me the name Doc. So it's stuck with me now for a long time.
Where'd your love of basketball come from? Were you a basketball player when you were little? Did you play all sports? Why basketball?
I did play all sports. Again, my dad was a high school football coach, but came from a very small town of 2,000, and so you pretty much did everything. Played baseball in the spring, played football in the fall, and played basketball during the winter. But I always liked basketball. I don't know why. I think probably because growing up, my dad made me mow the football field, and I decided it was a lot easier to sweep a floor than it was to mow a football field. But I just always liked it, and that was kind of my favorite sport to play, and then also just to learn from. And then when I made a decision to go to college, I made that decision to go somewhere that would give me an opportunity to maybe even continue to grow, and that's why I went and worked for Eddie Sutton.
Who have been some of your influences, whether it's back to your dad, to guys that maybe you played for or worked under? Who are some of your influences when it comes, maybe not just basketball, but in life in general?
Well, I think all of us, start with your dad. I mean, I had a great dad. He was a guy that understood what sports was supposed to be about, and he loved kids, and he taught kids, and it probably started with him. But philosophy-wise, Eddie Sutton, when I was at Arkansas, Pat Foster, that's probably the 2 guys that kind of got it started for me. But through the years, I've had so many people. A guy that probably not very many people know about is a guy named George McCorn, who's an assistant at Arizona State, who I think probably is one of those guys that could coach any sport and been successful. So he's a guy I still rely a lot on, but he's a guy. And then obviously Billy Gillespie, James Dickey, just recently coached Bill Self at Kansas, and then this year Fred Hoiberg probably has had about as much impact on me philosophy-wise as anybody that I've ever worked for, and look forward to doing some of the things I learned.
Talk about that. How your philosophy of basketball has sort of evolved throughout your coaching career. You're maybe not the same approach as maybe you did 20 years ago as you do now.
Well, I think the one thing growing up in the family that maybe Tim Floyd and them grew up in with Mr. Iba and Coach Haskins. Toughness and defense was always something, but here recently, I really have been sold on the fact that, defense is very, very important. It's something that can't be compromised, but at the same time, if you're really going to take that next step, and probably some of the best coaches I ever coached against were good offensive coaches, and so that is something that I truly believe in today. If you're going to have a winning program, if you're going to have a team that has a chance to play in the NCAA tournament, then you better have a good offensive team.
I heard people say, maybe even fans, they think sometimes you have to compromise defense to be a good offensive team, but that's not the case.
Oh, no, not at all. In fact, I think they go hand in hand. First of all, you've got to have the toughness to play defense, and at the same time, if you're playing a good defensive team, you better have the toughness to be able to handle the basketball and mentally be tough enough to get through the pressure. So both of them go hand in hand, and if you see a good basketball team, a team that plays in the NCAA tournament, for the most case, they're not going to be one-sided. They're going to be good on both ends.
Everywhere you've been, you've had success. You've been a part of championship caliber teams and been a part of a lot of great wins, a lot of opportunities to go a lot of places. Why Southern Miss? Why now?
Well, again, I know at the time I know a lot about Southern Miss, and as you mentioned, your career takes you a lot of different places, and being in the league with them 8-9 years ago when we went into Conference USA at UTEP, you came in here and it was a good place. And Coach Turk, I remember sitting and visiting with him for a long time about just basketball. So you left here with a good feeling about Hattiesburg and Southern Miss, and then from there, once you start competing against them, you start following them closer, and you realize that basketball is very, very important to this community, and it's very, very important to the university. And the bottom line is the success that they've had. It's a situation where I feel that gives me an opportunity to do something that hasn't been done. I mean, they've been to NCAA tournaments, but to my knowledge now, we haven't won an NCAA tournament game. So I really believe this, and I think as time goes on, it's happening more and more. If you can get in that tournament and you can get on a roll, good things can happen, and no telling where you'll stop. So that probably more than anything is what excites me about Southern Miss.
The last couple of years, involvement was going on at Kansas and Iowa State. I don't know how often you've had a chance to watch Southern Miss play, but I heard you say earlier today you saw the NIT game at Minnesota. And talk about what impressed you when you saw the type of athletes you saw at Southern Miss.
Well, I always knew Coach Tyndall's teams were extremely well coached and they were going to play hard. But obviously, to win the number of games that they won this year, they've got good players. And that's something that I noticed. But more than anything else, I noticed their toughness. Things didn't always go the way they wanted them to, but they kept grinding and they just kept hanging in there. And at different times, two or three times in the second half, they had a chance to maybe to get the lead, and it wasn't easy for them. So that more than anything else, besides having good players, the toughness that the kids presented themselves when it got tough.
Recruiting is the heart blood of any program. Talk about your recruiting philosophy and the type of young man that you would like to bring to Southern Miss.
Well, the first thing I think to have success, you need to start within. And so if there's a player in the state of Mississippi, then we need to recruit him, and we need to recruit him against no matter who's recruiting him. And hopefully we get him. I mean, not the only, but one of the best players to ever come out of Southern Miss is Clarence Witherspoon, who is from here. So we need to do that first, and then we got to decide from there where we're going. And there's different ways to do things, but in today's game, with the number of transfers, I think that's always got to be an avenue that you look at who's available to you. The junior college routes away, the prep schools. I really don't think you can close any doors when you're at Southern Miss, just like Iowa State. You've got to be able to go wherever you need to go to see whatever kind of kid you need to see, whether it be high school, junior college, whatever, and then you got to put them together.
And I know you've always, everywhere you've been, it's been important for it to be a complete player, a guy that's successful in the classroom, a guy that's successful on the basketball court.
Well, in my opinion, your program's not successful unless they do three things. And that's, number one, you graduate the kids that come to your campus. Number two, you help them become better young people and grow socially while they're on your campus. And then you win a lot of basketball games. If you can do those three things, then I think the student athlete that leaves your campus when everything's said and done feels like he's had a pretty good college experience.
How familiar are you with Conference USA and some of the teams
Which one?
in there?
Yeah.
How familiar are you with the teams in Conference USA and the challenge that presents to the Golden Eagles?
Well, as you well know, it's a totally different league than when I was in it. I mean, and it changes, but it looks like maybe for at least now, John, that it's going to stay the way it is. So, yeah, I'm familiar with it, but not near like I was. It's been 8, 9, 10 years since I played in this league, but one thing about it, I do know this: there's terrific coaches, there's athletic players in this league, and there's some very tough places to go play. So, in that, it makes for a very difficult league. So, I was asked earlier today about the league, and I truly believe that, there were 3 teams this year that deserved to get in the NCAA tournament, and everybody. I can promise you, everybody that was in the tournament would not have wanted to play Louisiana Tech or Southern Miss. So it's a league that I think is very competitive, and it'll be fun.
What's the next few weeks? What's on the agenda as you jump into this head coaching job at Southern Miss?
Well, as you mentioned, you got to make contact with them, and obviously, that's your priority. The kids that are on your campus right now and the kids that you have signed to bring to your campus. Nothing else is important at this point. So I'm going to spend a lot of time with these kids because they actually leave next week from the spring semester. So I want to get to know the guys that are returning. But then also I've got to go get face-to-face with the kids that we've signed. And the next thing is we've got to find some more. So recruiting is going to be important the next few weeks.
Great fans at Southern Miss. That has been part of the key to success here the last few years and throughout the history of Southern Miss. How important is that to you that Reed Green Coliseum is filled up and people are screaming and making a lot of noise and making it tough for the opposition?
Well, I don't think we can do it by ourselves. And every team needs a home court advantage, and there's some games that you don't need anybody. But there's always those 3 or 4 that they will make a difference with you winning and losing. And as you well know, John, those are the games that you've got to win if you're going to play in postseason play. So the fans have got to come out, whoever, and not just come out, but come out and have fun and make a lot of noise and support our team.
A couple more questions. You talked about offensive basketball. What style of offensive basketball team will Golden Eagle fans see?
Well, I think you're going to see a team that once we secure the rebound, that we're going to push the ball very hard. And not just the basketball. The other 4 guys have got to run hard. So many people, just talk about a fast break offense, and that's the ball. But it doesn't happen unless you have 4 other guys going as hard as they can go. It's going to be a style that we're going to look for mismatches with the other team. And then when we find that mismatch, we're going to try to exploit it. In football, I was told one time in the NFL that, you might be better in only one spot. And whatever that spot was, then you better try to take advantage of it. That's kind of what we're going to try to do. We're going to get good floor spacing, spread them out, and try to take advantage of our athleticism and individual play.
What about on the defense? Kind of the same thing, create mismatches and cause problems for the other guy.
Yeah. Keep them from scoring. But we want to keep them out of the lane. I think it's been proven that, you may run into a team that's really, really hot on a given night, and they're going to be difficult to beat. But for the most part, night in and night out, if you can keep them out of the lane, then you've got a chance to be successful.
You're a teacher of the game. I know you're one of those guys who just likes to get into the gym and teach the game of basketball. And you've also picked up a lot of things from all different types of basketball, whether it be the NBA or the college game or junior college. I mean, you're a guy who's a basketball junkie.
No question about it. The best thing about getting this job is being here today. The worst part is I'm going to miss NBA basketball the next few nights because I really, really enjoy watching it because, again, that's the style that we're going to play. And they play it with a 24-second clock. So we're going to play with it with basically a 24-second clock. So it's unbelievable to watch. I understand that game like I've never understood it before. And it's a game that's definitely on the offensive end fun to coach.
Let me ask you real quick about scheduling. What's your scheduling philosophy? What kind of non-conference schedule do you like to play or do you need to play?
Well, you got to play as competitive schedule as you can. The problem is right now with Southern Miss, we've had a lot of success, whether it be home or away. Schools don't want to play you, but you know, we've just got to keep trying until we find that schedule, and then when we do find that schedule, play the most competitive schedule there is, because the one thing that we don't want to have happen is to have a great basketball team, win a lot of basketball games, and maybe don't play as well that one game in the conference tournament, and therefore you're out. No, we want to have a great regular season with a great regular season schedule, so that when you do go to the tournament, you already know that, you know, even if you do come up a little bit short, you're still going to get in.
What are you looking forward to the most? Getting back into the gym and getting your guys around you and getting ready for a season?
You know what? I enjoy people, so I'll enjoy this the next few days. But the reason I'm a coach is because I do like the gym. You know, get rid of the suits, put on T-shirts, put on some shorts, tennis shoes, and go out there and work with the kids, because they want that. And so we're going to enjoy these next few weeks, get out and meet a lot of people, and then when the kids get back for summer school, we're going to get after it.
I was going to ask you about that. I know you're anxious to get out and meet a lot of the Golden Eagle fans around the state, around this general area of the country. Do you look forward to that, going out and meeting? Is that important to do?
Well, again, I think if we're going to fill up the Coliseum, that's what you got to do, and so. We've got to get out, be visible. You know, just like coming into your home, you got to approach it like, you know, you're welcome. So we're going to welcome into our place, and hopefully we'll get that place filled up and win a lot of games.
Doc, it's going to be exciting. I can tell that already. Congratulations again on becoming the new head coach at Southern Miss, and look forward to the start of the season. Can't get here soon enough.
Well, I appreciate it, John, and it's been an exciting day, and I know this, that from here on out it's even going to get better.
That's Doc Sadler. He's the brand new head basketball coach here at Southern Miss. You're going to enjoy seeing him and watching some exciting Golden Eagle basketball in 2014 and 2015.